Good morning, Internet. This is Ethan Nicole with my friend Doug Tenaple, and this is another crazy episode of Audio Mullet. I hope your seatbelt is on, because things are about to get crazy.
Yes, it's episode 37. This is Doug Tenaple live from Fresno. Ethan, how is traffic?
It's bumper to bumper down there, and
F that. How's the weather?
It's the clouds are bumper to bumper up there.
Wow, yeah, you're looking good in that snappy tie. I'm so glad we fired the other weather and traffic girl.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, this is really good improv we're really doing mean. Right now. That's the sound of the helicopter.
Mike's way better at improv.
Yeah.
He's quick.
No, he has to write everything. That's why he's not here. He's too busy writing his next appearance on the Audio Mullet show where he writes all of his improv.
He writes all his lines, sends us a script ahead of time.
Yeah. There really are, most comedians are like that. Like they do know jokes, right? When they go on Conan and they're ripping off their jokes that are all prepared and they have a natural, funny sense of timing. But like their act is tight.
Yeah.
They're every syllable of Brian Regan and Jim Gaffigan, every syllable, they'll flip a few words and tidy it up. And it's the same material that they're crafting sometimes over a year. They do it live before they do their big show.
Yeah.
Everyone goes like, he's so funny. It's like, he's just an actor performing words over. I mean, if I did the same act for a year, I'd have it down.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, you have to being willing to take the time to craft it is like probably a big, huge part of the process that most people don't actually do because it takes a lot of time and embarrassment.
Yeah, and then you see them off script, like Bill Burr when he's insulting all of Pittsburgh or whatever it is when he had the big fallout, and he's like, you guys eat a bag of D's.
Mm-hmm.
He's just saying that over and over for 5 minutes. You see a guy trying to take up 5 minutes time and he's a comedian. Mm-hmm. And it's funny with how bad he's failing and that he's just resorting to cussing. That is funny. But what he's actually saying is not crafted comedy. Yeah. It's not brilliant.
So I have seen some pretty funny improvised moments with Bill Burr that I have to say that maybe he's having a bad day. I didn't see that
when he's railing on audience member and clicking along with new material, I guess so. But I'm thinking more of but it's nothing like his normal material. Like his actual written material is great. Or Robin Williams, who was known for doing like improv for a long time, and he was terrible.
Well, that's all to say. That's why our improv was so terrible, and so deal with it, everybody.
Yeah. Because we're not even professional podcasters.
Did I tell you about when I tried to do stand-up comedy one time? Did I tell you about that?
Oh, no. Did I tell you about the time I tried to do stand-up comedy one time?
No.
Wait, you did an open mic?
I did an open mic once.
Oh, you got to tell me.
Fairly recently.
What?
Yeah. It was like less than a year ago. I've had a fascination.
What? You didn't tell me.
I didn't tell anybody. It was like, I've always kind of had a secret fascination. I still want to do it.
Yeah, me too.
There's a,
but tell me about how bad you bombed.
Oh, it's really actually pretty funny.
I know that's the funniest part. Mine was a total fiasco. So go ahead. Let me hear you. First of all, give me the rev up to it.
I will.
Give me the whole situation.
Okay. So there's this comedy club in Claremont. And they're open late, and they have a late stand-up comedy open mic night. And it's the only place I could sneak away from my family. Everybody's asleep. I'll go to open mic. And I've been kind of trying to build up the bravery to do it. And we have a friend who visits us often, and she's a stand-up comic. And so she's like, I'll go with you, So she'd do it. Everybody gets 2 minutes, and if the light comes on, you got to wrap it up.
That's right. I'm telling you already, I love stories about my friends being horrifyingly embarrassed. There's nothing better.
Okay, so I worked on this whole bit about being a bedwetter.
That's good material.
Yeah, because I peed my bed all the way up to high school. It was
good man.
This thing just would not stop.
Hey man, you got to go. Is that because you're a heavy sleeper or just?
I have no idea. It was a thing. It just happened.
You just peed a lot in bed.
Yeah.
But you didn't wake up and pee. You'd wake up and you go, hey, I peed.
In my bed.
If you pee is present tense, ped is past tense. So you go, hey, I ped.
So I'll tell you the story that I was trying to tell on stage is that, first I kind of went through like just the horror of everything my parents tried, all the different devices and things. And they finally found this, when I was in high school, they found this device that you shove this kind of waffle thing into your pants that has a buzzer on it. And the moment that it gets wet, it starts to buzz, this horrifying buzz, and wakes you up.
Yeah.
And your heart is just racing. And
it's like a reverse Pavlov where that punishes you
wake up
in your body.
It's the worst sound. And just the smallest amount of dampness will set it off. So like you can't even do like a little drip or anything. Like you stay completely dry.
So if you had a night emission, they would find out also.
Oh yeah. So then the sort of punchline or funny ending of the story is that a friend of mine came over who was in my rock band, and he found that thing. And so I had to try to make these excuses of what it is. Like, oh, that's my brother's. I don't know what that is. It's some weird toy. And
he's like all the more curious. No, wait, what is it?
Yeah,
no, it's my brother's. That's not an answer.
He kept squeezing it because he didn't know what it was, but he realized that if he squeezed it really hard, it made this weird. The buzz kind of did like a tortured sounding version of the buzz. Instead of being like meh, it was like. So he's like,
what is that?
He was basically strangling it to death in front of me, and I couldn't tell him not to do it, and I couldn't stop him because I couldn't admit what it was, and he destroyed it, and his hands were completely covered in whatever I had left, whatever residue was all over it.
The pee, he was retching any pee out of it that he could.
And just any crotch stuff. Because it was been down my pants every night for like, long time. And I'm a high school guy. I don't wash a lot.
That's a high school, down a high schooler's crotch. Yeah. A fat high schooler's unwashed crotch.
And it's all over his hands. And he doesn't even know. And I'm just like sitting there like tracking cool. Like, oh, I guess you broke that weird toy. Anyway, so that's the story I was trying to tell.
I know, but shut up. Doesn't it? I'm just making an amazing observation here. Hold on, stop the presses.
Okay.
I just think it's wonderful and true that to a high schooler, like that is a wretched, life-wrecking thing to admit that to a privacy of your friend. And now you're an adult telling the entire world on a public podcast. We're all just exhibitionists now.
I don't care anymore.
Okay, go ahead.
So I got up there and, you have your time constraints. I had practiced my set like over and over again, but I had tried to cram a lot in. So I got up there and I basically got through admitting that I had just wet the bed all the way up to high school. And I never really got to the funny part. And then the timer went off. And I said, all right, that's it. You're very brave. And then
I just you confessed.
Walked back to the table after just admitting to a huge room full of strangers that I had just peed the bed my entire life up to like age 15. There's no...
one laugh?
Everybody was so confused. There's a couple chuckles at my like... there's one thing I really realized that night is that there really is a rhythm to stand-up comedy. Yeah. And you can't just go up and tell a story. And you got to tighten
your set. Yeah. You got to tighten that thing up.
Yeah. And I think I learned a lot, and I really did want to go back and do it again, but then the place closed down like not long after. We tried to go back another night.
Probably because of the bedwetting story. Yeah. You probably shut that place down.
I wrecked it. So anyway.
So next time you come out and you say, I wet the bed all the way through high school. Pause.
Yeah. Pause forever.
That's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, ta-da. And so did you. There. So in hindsight now, do you still have so wait, what did your comedian friend, the professional comedian, tell you when you came and sat down? She encouraged you like, that was good job.
I mean, it wasn't horrible. There's like one moment where the biggest laugh I got was a joke that wasn't even planned, where I made a joke about not being circumcised.
Oh,
and I was like, I just immediately went to the gross humor.
Yeah, straight to blue.
Yeah. But so yeah, I was fascinated by it, and I wasn't actually embarrassed. I just thought it was funny that's what I did. Like I went up and the people were just kind of confused looking at me. There's all these really cool comedian guys, like these cool black guys and stuff, looking at me.
Yeah,
like,
all the black guys are always the cool comedians.
They're super cool.
Because everyone wants to laugh really hard for woke points. They're like, it's got to be so easy.
Most of them make jokes about girlfriends and stuff.
Is there black privilege among the comedians?
They do. It does seem like just by talking like a black guy, you're just immediately funnier.
Yeah. The white people they're all dancing like this, and they do like a real uptight, like their cheeks are clenched. They're like, they're all like this on the dance floor.
Who is this?
It's every black comedian I've seen.
Like Dr. Jack.
Yeah, it's like all of them. Isn't that terrible? That's racist in and of
pure
itself.
racism.
And it's not funny. So I'm not even a comedian. But you don't see, I guess you did see white people talking about black people, like back in Steve Martin days. They would just flat out lay down flat out racist joke. And everyone's all, wah, ha, ha.
Yeah.
It's so true about all those black people. Remember that? That was like 1977.
People mostly got that, like, it doesn't literally mean literally every single black person does this and they're inferior because of it.
It's implied, though. It's like and my favorite jokes growing up were Pollock jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, what did a Pole ever do? And somehow all through LA, man, everyone was telling Pollock jokes. And it's like they're all, how do you sink a Polish ship? And
Yeah, we were too. And none of us even really knew what a Pollock even was.
I had no idea what a Pollock was.
Like a thing.
I only know whatever a Pollock was, it was someone who was very dumb.
Yeah.
That's all I knew about the Polish, where they were the dumbest people in the world.
Yeah.
That's all I knew about them.
I was in high school. We'd call each other Jew. We didn't even know why we were saying it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you Jew.
Yeah.
Why we're just being idiots.
Yeah. That was a joke I heard in college of guys who were cheap. They'd go, "You're such a Jew."
It wouldn't even be in that context. It'd be like,
what a Hebe. I didn't know any Jews.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what a Hebrew was outside of the Bible. And they're like, "What a Hebe." All I knew was that Jews were cheap.
I didn't even know that.
Now that I'm an adult and I know all kinds of Jews and blacks and gays and stuff like that, now I know as an adult, and I'm not a racist anymore. Now I know that Jews really are cheap. They really are cheap, though. All my Jewish friends are bankers.
I know work in Hollywood, and they're all like lavish.
Yeah, I know. They're all bankers and investors. And, all those racists and truthers that say like Jews run Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And all my Hollywood friends are Jews.
No, that is like bizarrely true. I mean, it's amazing. Anytime I'm anywhere in Hollywood, everybody's like got a Jewish name. Like they're all clearly
truthers are all like Jews run everything and they're in charge of the banks and the finances in Hollywood and media. I'm like, well, that is true.
It's just making that jump to it being this conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
It gets weird.
Yeah, that's the weird part that I don't believe is that they control the world through some Zionist conspiracy. As I go, no. But
do you think that's connected to anything from Scripture, from Jews being the chosen people? Are they just awesome at stuff?
I do see a lot of the racist humor coming from some of those like promises and truths in the Bible. Like my grandma would always tell me, it was some quote from Revelation or something. The yellow race will rule the world. and every time there'd be news about Japan or Chinese doing this or that, she'd go like, the yellow race will rule the world, like as a threat. She was like, my grandma was like the biggest racist. Not mean, but just normal, the nice kind of hateful. The nice kind of hateful racism.
Yeah, it was like a weird part of their culture. It was, it's weird to look back on because people want you to throw everything under the bus if there's any hint of racism, and it's your family and it's people that you knew, and you also know from knowing them that it wasn't the way that it's painted now, like that they're just sitting around seething and like,
yeah. And being a racist is bad and dumb and completely ignorant, but it's not being a child molester. And they act like now, being, when I think there's something deep in the human soul that is very racist. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's part of our nature to like judge and group people. Mm-hmm. Our mind like naturally connects things and the way that we store things. And so of course, if everyone looks the same to me, which, not all black people look the same, but they're all black. I'm saying they're all like you're dark skinned or or the way that we lump all obese people, or I'm 6'8", I'm tall. Everyone says, hey, you play basketball. I've heard that almost every day of my life. Hey, are you, they suspect that because I'm 6'8", that I'm following all the games.
Yeah.
And they'll say some obscure college team. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't watch. Oh, because I'm tall. Oh, because my people.
Yeah.
That's all we do. I go, I'm an artist. And they look at me like, what a shame that you denied God's gift of height and went into the arts. They give you that look like, wow, you could really, I'll bet you can dunk. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I think they've just refocused that tendency to want to have, because it's easy to have an outsider and somebody that you have decided is, they're all evil. And now it's just, rather than trying to solve that problem, it's the rich, or it's white males, or it's just being shifted over to some other group,
So what is your feeling about fat shaming? That's a new thing in defense of fat people. Fat shaming. No fat shaming. It's the new racism. It's not quite there, but I
think that's mostly a joke. I think there's a few idiot bloggers that probably like take that stance. But I think in general, people are like, yeah,
what should people take home from fat people like you? What should they do with that whole group? They walk down the street, they see a bunch of fat people walking by, or a fat person walking by. And I always think of someone who's usually pretty jolly, but very injured inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of truth to that. Well, I think... you never know if it's just a snapshot. It's not your friend. You don't know the person or what their journey is. It is kind of, you have no idea what you could like walk up to a fat guy and be like, hey man, you really need to exercise and think about what you're eating and blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly someone else walks up that's known the guy and goes, holy crap, Phil, you've lost 100 pounds. Like, you don't know what he's doing or where he's at. So
the same way that someone walks up to me and says, do you play basketball? I go up to them and say, hey, what's it like to eat an entire bucket of KFC at one sitting?
Yeah.
Can I just casually be buddy?
Yeah. I think it's a thing for, I don't know. I was very sensitive about it growing up. I've come a long way, especially after getting married and dealing with a lot of stuff that was kind of under the surface. And
telling people you're uncircumcised and that you wet the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the...
how can you be bugged about merely being obese?
Yeah. I don't know why that stuff doesn't bother me at all. I don't know what it is.
And you have like half of America is obese.
Yeah.
So it's like you're everybody.
Yeah. It doesn't help, really. I don't know why.
Just because you still feel isolated as the only fat guy you know?
That's funny because you look back and that's one thing that Coos County, where I'm from, apparently on David Letterman one night, he read a card that said, just randomly read one of his random facts or something and said, most obese county in America, Coos County, Oregon, and then kept moving on.
Coos Bay.
That's where I'm from. And I remember looking at pictures from the day that my like kind of goodbye party before I moved away.
Yeah.
And holy crap, like everybody in the picture is so fat. Never had realized how fat all my friends were. And like
it was like a Louis Anderson family reunion.
Yeah, exactly.
How can that place be fatter? I'm in Tennessee. How can that place be fatter than the South? There ain't
It's probably just percentage because it's a small
fat people per capita than into the South, man.
Yeah.
Everyone is fat. Like nice guys are fat. Your youth pastor's fat. The worship leader's fat. It's like everyone's fat.
Mm-hmm.
I look around and I'm like, and I don't disdain them. I figure because I have to, I go through life in general not eating all the carbs I want. I do splurge on carbs all the time. Like really, whenever I really, really want them, I'll grab a carb. But when I see like fat people, I go, that guy just eats all the carbs he wants forever.
Mm-hmm.
He must be he's really healthy mentally to not be that paranoid about his health. Like he's just saying, diabetes, come get me. He's like Ahab and the white whale. I know the white whale is going to kill me, but I'm after it. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm going to eat and all the KFC I want right now. Because he's a man in full. He has a core. He's at rest.
A lot of them, I mean, this has been a big one for me, is that it's, I try to eat as normal as I can around everybody. The more comfortable I am around people, the more I'll eat in front of them. But, it's still what really makes me fat would be my binge. At night, I'll sneak off and like eat.
You only go full head down on the plate with no hands when no one's looking.
Right. Like order some food.
And get on all fours and make pig noises.
Yeah, roll around.
I remember Oprah was talking. This is like probably 30 years ago. I don't know why this stuck in my head. This detail was she said,
"You were watching Oprah."
I can't remember if it was an interview or what, but she said, I remember I had a problem when I would sneak into the pantry and pull out I'd eat hot dog buns covered in honey, and I just thought. That was just a great detail to know about Oprah and her struggle.
She should have put a banana in the hot dog bun covered with honey. That'd be good.
Her go-to was hot dog buns covered in honey. But it just sounds like just a desperate person. Yeah. Like you grab the hot dog bun and you smear it in honey. There's not even time to cook anything and put anything decent in there. Or chocolate and peanut butter was too much time. Just squirt some honey on it and get that thing down.
Yeah, no, I've been there because like you really want a dessert, but you've not bought any because you're trying to be good. So then you start trying to invent new desserts by squirting hot dog buns with honey.
With honey.
It's honey bun. It's some kind of a dessert here.
So what was the worst, if we're into eviscerating ourselves in public, what is the worst binge that you did where you just went, I'm going to eat myself to death? What did you do? What did you get?
The worst for me was actually my last big trip that I took when I was doing my little tour. When I went to Jonah Goldberg and Eric Metaxas and stuff. I was road tripping around and I was all alone. I was in New York and Washington D.C. and Pennsylvania. And
of course, you celebrate a city with eating. I do that.
Yeah. It wasn't even that though. It was I have the car driving alone for long periods. I wanted to just have a giant bag of food next to me, so I hit like two drive-throughs and got a bunch of crap from like a corner store, donuts, jerky, and I felt so Snacks. Ill with it.
So not a meal. It was all
I had like two fast food meals.
What were the two fast food meals?
I think one was Jack in the Box. I can't remember what all I got. I got, like poppers and it was really excessive. I mean, it was just, I felt really,
like bottom.
It really was a bottom
like,
where I felt like I felt so depressed after it. And it was really kind of like it actually pushed me into, which I haven't talked much about, but I started going to Overeaters Anonymous after that. I felt like
OA.
Or I don't go to the meetings much, but I did go to a OA men's retreat. So it was with guys. So I went for a weekend with all these other OA guys. And
don't you find all the people that are skinnier there than you're going like, what are you doing here? And then all the fat people there, you're going like, shit, what's wrong with you?
I thought it worked. You judge everybody.
The people fatter than you're like, dude, just give up.
You've been in this for 80 years and you're still huge. There's a lot of this.
Give up. Yeah. I did a since we're confessing stuff, I did a porn addicts thing. This is right around 2000 when my daughter, I'm like, look, I'm giving up porn. This sucks. Mm-hmm. And I went to one of the meetings at a church and it was the same thing there where one guy would say something, he's like, I have to be wrapped in stockings and have women's feet on my face before I can climax. And I'm happily married and I've done it with like 3 secretaries. And you're like, good. And now I'm starting to think about children or something, he would say. I go like, good God, what am I doing here? and then there's another guy next to you who's going like, I was thinking lustful thoughts about my wife. and so I'm just going, it's the same
You're
bracket there where you're like going, one guy's like, you don't belong here. And another, and I am the definition of who should be there, right? Because like, I'm just right. And the guy who's got it better than me, I'm like going, get out of here. And then the other guy, I'm like, good God, we need to call the cops. Yeah. So you get the same thing in Overeaters Anonymous? Do they give you a chip? A sobriety chip?
I don't know if people have chips. I haven't seen them. A lot of people
but I'm
in
saying
those...
you would know that at the first meeting because you give your name and they would give you a sobriety chip for your first day of not binging.
I
don't know how they measure it in. So
a lot of people in OA are also in AA. I've noticed a lot of people that are in these groups almost seem like they're addicted to the groups.
They are. The same thing with the porn addict thing was. Almost most of them were doing a AA thing, Adult Children of Alcoholics or Alcoholics Anonymous, and it really was like a universal type of person, who experienced some kind of youthful injury by a significant, family member, mother, father, friend, or something traumatic happened to them as a kid. They started acting out on other people, and they internalize it and punish themselves with a vice of some kind. It might be porn, it might be food, it might be alcohol or drugs or whatever, but that is the universal method of treating it in AA, is to go back and start making a list of your grievances that you've done against other people. Your inventory is what it's called, whatever that step is. You make an inventory of people you've injured and people who've injured you.
Right.
Which I think is a good move because if it's caused by that trauma, you can't just keep burying over it. At some point, you have to talk about it and get it out and deal with it. So I like the idea of getting to the root of the problem. And in college, I knew a bunch of girls that were bulimic that had to go anorexic and had to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom.
Similar type of person, right?
Right. There's a type of person who's drawn to that group. I mean, there is a variety there too. There's the core group of them. It seems like there's something about that environment that they have to keep coming. Like these people will do multiple meetings a week, and I can't understand how you could endure that. Like, I find them, I really don't enjoy them at all. They're really boring, and it's weird. Like, you're just reading out of a book. Like, everybody's kind of monotone reading along out of a book that's not the Bible or anything, and it's like and even the sharing is kind of weird, and I don't know. It's just
I did it the decisive binary Doug TeNapel way.
Okay.
I went in, I did probably a meeting or two a week, sometimes 3, met with a group, had a sponsor, did it for a year, killed it, conquered it, and then left.
Right.
I said, okay, I got it. And then did the work, but I'm not going to sit here for 20 years with these guys.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, so from my retreat, I did get a guy who is, I guess nominally my sponsor. We're friends anyway. We text and stuff, and we meet.
How much does he weigh?
He's big. He's a big guy too.
Big.
But just having somebody that I keep in touch with about it it actually is really good.
You can call him when you feel the itch. When you're they say don't get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Mm-hmm. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired are the big 4.
Yeah.
The trigger start really undermining your work.
Yeah. Yeah. Just knowing there's not someone there's nobody out there who's ever going to really check on me. It kind of helps. Or that's the thing that kind of sets me off the rails. Anyway.
Is when other people try to fix you?
No, when I don't have any accountability set up at all. Yeah. And I feel like I can get away with whatever. That's where I go off the rails. That's where I'll sneak off. And
I think that's true for all of us, though. Yeah. Nothing good happens when a man is alone. Mm-hmm. It isn't. God says it's not good for a man to be alone. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. Yeah. Deep, deep down, I think my isolation is the worst thing for me.
Yeah.
Loneliness.
For sure. You never talked about
we need each other.
Your stand-up comedy.
Okay, my stand-up comedy. This is going to be good. This is when I was in college. And everyone said, "Oh, Doug, you're so funny," blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. Open mic night. So I was developing some jokes, and this same thing, it was like a 2 minute, range in there somewhere. And I'm going to, I wrote jokes, but my memory just vanishes when I'm nervous.
Yeah.
This is true when I do any public speaking. I'm either reading a page or I have to improvise. And now I'm much more comfortable. I'm very comfortable in front of people now, so I can run a pitch now, like nobody's business. But at the time I was much more nervous. So I had four of my closest friends three of them came with me, 2 girls and a guy back in college. And they agreed to laugh at everything I said. So they were there to prime the crowd. So I also cheated on my open mic night. And while I knew I would embarrass myself in front of these people, they were people who I felt kind of safe to be embarrassed in front of.
Yeah.
So the guy introduces me. I go up there. The light goes on. I started my set. And I just, I think I told one joke or something, some observation about spitting on rides at Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And they were laughing a little bit, a few chuckles here and there. And then my friends were over there, laughing hysterically at everything I said. And then my mind wiped.
Yeah, it's gone.
I didn't know who I was. I could not, a word could not come out. Utter stage fright, froze up. And I just went, and I was just, it's like the woman who had the stroke while she's doing the newscast, and the words just come out as gibberish. I'll come out and now. Mm-hmm. And there was no way even my friends could fake a laugh as if there was any content coming out of me. Huh. And I sat there probably for, I think, the longest 5 seconds of my life, frozen. And then I just said, "I'm Doug TeNapel, Doug T. Thanks for coming out, everybody." and the host, who's actually a decent comedian, comes down and goes like, "Hey, let's give him a big hand, guys." And they gave me a hand.
Yeah.
And I just I remember meeting my 3 friends, and I felt shame in front of them.
Oh yeah.
Like people where it's safe to not have to feel shame. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really weird moment to process, because now I think I'd be much better at it. So I always thought, I want to give it a try, really to make up for that moment that I think I could do. I think I could manage a 2-minute set now.
Yeah.
Write it, memorize it, confidently play it, see how well I could run that room, and then put a fork in it or whatever. But
Yeah, I'd love to be able to develop I don't know if I could get up to a full hour, but even 15 minutes or something like.
Yeah.
I'd love to just take the time, and that was my hope with that comedy club being here, and it was always, open when everybody's asleep. But I can't find one now unless I drove all the way to Burbank in the middle of the night. I have to really want to do it.
Yeah. Irvine Improv, I think, still does. I had a friend on the Neverhood, a buddy. He was a grip. He does a grip on all the movies. And he was regularly doing stand-up comedy. He was really bad. And then I went to see him by the time he'd built up to a 15-minute set. And it was pretty good. So it was kind of neat to see him just stick with it for probably a good year and a half, doing open mic nights and working on his material. And not a good writer, not a naturally funny guy, not a creative guy, and he did it. Was able to run a room pretty well for 15 minutes by the end of his time. So yeah, I think it's doable. Yeah.
That is one of the fascinating things when you go to an open mic scene, is how bad it can be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a special punishment too. By then, the people are pretty much just alcoholics in the room because there's no reason to be there.
Well, it's all other comedians. That's at least the one I went to. I mean, it's the room's got 40 people in it, but it's all different comedians waiting to go up and do their 2 minutes.
Yeah, or the comedians support, their family or whatever that came to see them, their friends that came to.
Yeah, well, there's not even that is weird. It's a kind of a gloomy environment, because a lot of the comedians, they're all looking at their material, getting ready for their 2 minutes. They're not paying that much attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not many people in the audience that aren't other comedians. There's just a few people.
Why would a bar, a self-respecting comedy club even do open mic night? It's not like they're developing that much talent, right?
Well, I know a lot of working comedians like to have open mic nights just to practice new jokes. So they just go up there and
So sometimes you'll get a star show up.
Yeah, there's a good amount of them actually. There, like when I went, because I actually went once just to watch, and then I went once and did it. Yeah, I guess that was only 2 times I went. I went a third time and they were closed down. We sat outside for like an hour before we realized the place was not even open. I thought they were just closed for a show.
They just went out of business.
Yep.
Too much open mic night.
Well, they said they were remodeling, and then they said that for like almost, I don't know, for like 6 months, and then they just kind of disappeared. They just suddenly said on Google that they were closed forever.
Remodeling. Joke's on you.
That was their big joke.
It was their big joke because we're not remodeling. We're closed. Because Ethan's bedwetting set. I think bedwetting set, that's a real good start.
Yeah, there's plenty of humor in there. I just got to find the cadence. The cadence of comedy.
The thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to go over? Anything else? Are we done?
Are we?
Top 3 movies.
That's a bit of an early stop for us. We're not even to 40 minutes yet.
Oh man, it feels like it's been an hour. So give me your top 3 movies.
My top 3?
Yeah. My definition of top 3 is there's 3, right? There's 2 versions of 3. One is a movie that you can pop in at any time. Mm-hmm. Like if I said, go put a movie on that you'll enjoy while you work, and you'll put a certain movie on. And the other 3 are like the movies that you respect the most, where you may not watch them, but you go, that was the best movie I've seen. Mm. So use either criteria, because the critically acclaimed one might be hard, but it should be pretty easy to go, if you had to pop a movie in right now, what would you put in that you can watch anytime and usually enjoy it?
Well, one of my, for sure, anytime I talk about favorite movies is The Iron Giant.
Yeah.
And probably a couple weeks ago, I popped that in, and Calvin saw it for the first time, my 2-year-old, and he completely fell in love with it. And now we have watched it at least once a day since that day. And it's a perfect story. I still love every time it's on.
Perfect movie, perfect story.
Yeah, it's so good. And
I've watched that one so much I can't watch it anymore and enjoy it. It's getting that
to
way
where
with
I have like every line memorized. Yeah.
And there's something about it being animated that makes it harder for me to watch continually. I know it sounds weird because I'm an animator, but the animated movies that I play to death, they have a much shorter lifespan, say, than, like, I enjoy and respect Iron Giant as much as I enjoy and respect, say, Groundhog Day or It's a Wonderful Life. Mm-hmm. But because there's something about them being live action and slightly more complex, I've watched Groundhog Day and It's a Wonderful Life probably twice as much as I've watched Iron Giant, though I respect them all. Probably Iron Giant as much as any of them.
Yeah, Groundhog Day I'd put on that list. That's always a good movie.
You put that thing on and Bill Murray was in a zone like I've never seen him in a zone before. There's something transcendent and magical about that. I don't know how you write that. I don't know how you perform that.
Yeah. One that I really love is Apocalypto.
Oh, wow. I've only seen that one maybe once or twice. That's the Mel Gibson Aztec.
Yeah. And none of it's in English, but it's just this pure manliness movie. It's really worth watching.
Yeah. So lots of respect for that one.
Yeah. It's really like just like a chase movie in the jungle. I mean, it's a pure action movie, but like, it's not over the top, but it's about a boy becoming a man.
Yeah.
And it's just so brutal and good.
I got to watch it again. Like, who makes that movie? Mel Gibson, a madman. That's who.
Yeah. He makes great action. Like brutal, real action. Like it doesn't feel like, like there's like Commando, which is also one of my movies that I could watch over and over again. It's so hilarious. And every moment, every scene is awesome.
Okay, now I got to watch that one just to throw Commando? Up a little. So, I think I've seen it once. It was so awful. It's sort of the
pinnacle of those, like the
That's Arnold,
the 80s,
isn't it?
90s Arnold, just complete macho movie.
Yeah, I just really don't. Ugh.
It's a great movie to do like get a bunch of guys together and watch it with cigars.
Yeah.
It's just
like I was never into Conan.
I was never
into Predator. Never into Predator.
Oh, I love the first Predator.
I guess T2 is probably the most of him I can stomach. Like I didn't like True Lies and all. It just not really for me. He always really seemed like a joke that never got out of being a joke.
It is bizarre. It's bizarre that he, of all people, became such a huge star. Because he was never a good actor.
Pumping Iron. Pumping Iron's amazing. Like the documentary of his weightlifting against Lou Ferrigno is amazing. Huh. But all this Arnold, I'm just not. For instance, but I am into Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
So Bruce Willis, when it goes to like paying to see some guy grind people up, and I really want to see the macho guy, because to me he's not a cartoon the way that like Stallone and is,
he was a big shift. Die Hard was a huge shift in action movies, because I think originally who was supposed to be in Die Hard, it wasn't Bruce Willis, it was one of the big action guys at the time, and then they backed out of it. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Stallone or something. I can't remember, but
yeah,
it was really kind of considered a risky move. Like a lot of people, they even like when they made the posters of Die Hard, they just put a picture of the skyscraper. They didn't want Bruce Willis's face on it because he was known as this romantic comedy guy.
Yeah, he came out of Moonlighting and the girl with what's the lady in red,
and it hadn't really been done in action movies yet. Like having kind of like a more of an average guy be the action hero rather than Arnold or Stallone or something.
I just watched that with the family for Christmas, and I liked it, but I was barely into it. I just didn't. And so I kind of thought everyone's talking about this still, like it stood the test of time, and I watched it and went, kind of.
I think part of it with those movies too is that if you had that experience in the '90s where it was a groundbreaking action movie, then that sticks with you.
I wasn't in on the nostalgia of the first run.
Because I remember the day I was homesick from school. I'd rented 5 movies for $5 for 5 days from the video store, and one of them was Die Hard. And that movie, I remember just being blown away by it.
Hooked you.
Yeah. And then suddenly I was like, I got to see every Bruce Willis movie I can see now. I watched all the Die Hards. Yeah, I loved it.
I never even saw. How many were there? 2 or 3?
At that time, there were 2, and then the third one came out. And now there's like, I think everything after like the third one is, they're just like all the new movies coming out. They're like mega budget with like 75 writers.
Maybe I got to watch the sequels.
Just garbage.
Maybe the sequels will help it hold up a little better as far as like put some production value in it, or develop it a little more. Because I was just like, I was, kind of shruggy.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Embarrassed that I put my family through that.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
It would be hard for kids, especially kids. They're spoiled on action.
Yeah. Huh. So I'll do my go-to is Barton Fink.
Okay.
That's probably one of the most bizarre, amazing movies I've ever seen. Seen it over 10 times, maybe 15. It's 30 years old. I just watched it yesterday. It still holds up. It just casts a real spell on me. So
I only seen that once, and I was a little immature, I think, to really get it. I was confused, but I was like in my early 20s, and I was trying to watch all these movies that everybody said were good, and I was having a really tough time getting into a lot of them.
Yeah, Barton Fink is worth the trip to me, and really bizarre and intentionally so.
Yeah.
It's the Coen brothers are crafting a feeling that I think is how they feel about the world. The details don't quite line up, but there's enough details there to force your mind to start trying to line them up. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, so aside from that is just wicked amazing characters, wicked amazing dialogue and writing. Really fun. Mm. So for me, it works on a lot of different levels. Mm-hmm. One thing it doesn't work on is kind of the big picture wrap up of like an Iron Giant, all the cookies are on the bottom shelf on that plot. And that just gets a different kind of respect from me. I think actually a lot harder to do than artsy fartsy crap. Because artsy fartsy crap, you can leave things untied and you're just like, hey, look, it's a racer head. That's the way it's supposed to be. and you can get away with it. You lay down a track where all of the mystery is solved, like Iron Giant, like Black Stallion, like Groundhog Day, like It's a Wonderful Life. You craft that, have great characters, and wrap it all up. And I think you're putting a lot more of yourself at risk saying, this is good, right? When you make the movie. Because you're not saying, and I always feel like art films kind of like, it's supposed to be mysterious and dark and crazy.
Yeah. I can never write a story like that. It feels so weird to me. I feel like I'm almost too bound to want to make it all neat, nice and tidy and neat and perfect. There's a
side of me that wants to do that. That kind of is more in my nature, or I should say more in my my artsy fartsy side. Because I was a fine artist in the 80s. That was what I studied in college, was fine art, and it really was about being esoteric and strange. Yeah, what Chesterton calls the artist's temperament. It's like I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said that. There's a side of it that, but I just can't imagine putting that stuff out in public.
Yeah.
Like as a mass media artist, I just feel like in general, if someone gives this a try and they pay money for this thing, I owe them more than just I can make you feel weird.
Yeah, we were just reading a Chesterton essay where he talks about how in art, if there's this art that the critics say it's so esoteric and deep and mysterious that it can't be explained, and he said it's just another way of saying it's garbage.
Yeah,
and he was going off on like Picasso and all this stuff.
Yeah, and that really is true. That really is what I feel about Marcel Duchamp and Andy Warhol's Soup Cans and 15 Jackson Minutes of Fame Pollock. And Lynch. I just kind of go in some ways the Coen brothers, when they want to just go oddball on you, the Buster Scruggs and stuff like that. I just go, okay, I respect oddball. It is stimulating to me. Is what I'm saying. Like they might be giant songs that don't make sense. You go, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a little unhinged. It gives you the feeling of creativity and unhingedness, like they're breaking a border or a boundary. But not for mass media arts. I guess it's just inappropriate to invite. That's kind of how I feel about fine art too. Is in the end, I felt like I was trying to the fancy artist is trying to make the viewer feel like there's something wrong with them for not getting it.
Yeah.
Like you're not smart enough and you're not creative enough. Versus the Thomas Kinkade and Norman Rockwell and Gurney and guys that just kind of put it out there and give you all the answers, in one shot. There's a confidence there where they go, I'm good enough to run the show and give you the answers and stand by it.
Yeah.
That kind of art of a mother holding a child and it's just pretty. Those people are saying, you don't have to read the description before you understand the art. You can just look at it and it's made for everybody, the general everybody.
Yeah, to me, a real artist, shows you a thing you've seen a million times, and then for some reason, the way they painted it or showed it to you, you've seen it anew, rather than the cheap, easy way to do that is to do some kind of weird splatters all over a canvas and stuff, and then say, oh yeah, you've never seen that, because it's... Yeah, you can't even
and you don't get it because you don't get it because you're not dumb or because you're too dumb and you're not deep.
Yep.
Deep people, they're always nodding. At the Fine Art Museum, at the color field paintings. Who is it? Rothko, and they're like nodding. Deep.
Yeah.
Sometimes a paint can just be splatters, can just be a color field, and I feel something when I see this orange. It's a giant 14 foot by 14 foot panel of orange.
When I was on a date with Jess, my wife, our second date ever, we went to this art gallery. It was horrible, and we were walking around laughing at all the art. Doing fake art critic, like making these little, like, because we were looking at one that had some kind of, I forget what it was. It was actually dealing with a really heavy subject like cancer or something, but then it was like really bad. And we were mocking, and all of a sudden we hear a voice behind us and go like, "Oh, that's actually mine." And it was the guy that was running the gallery. And then he immediately after like, like, I don't know how much of what we said he heard. I felt really bad. But then
you turned and looked at him and said, this needs some more broken glass on it.
No. Then he immediately goes, "Are you Ethan Nicole? Axe Cop, Bearmageddon?"
Did you create Axe Cop and Bearmageddon? Why, yes, I did. But I couldn't hang my art in here because you can understand it.
But yeah, this is one of the bizarre only times ever where I've been recognized randomly on the street. And I happened to be on a date with Jess. It made me look like a total celebrity. He's like,
"Oh, that's good. That could have been your marriage. That fine art gallery might have solidified things."
Yeah, she's really big on that celebrity stuff. That's the whole reason she got with me.
That was it. She was looking for a star. So she said, you know what I need is a big webcomic artist.
Yeah, morbidly obese webcomic artist.
Morbidly obese webcomic artist written by a 7-year-old child. Yeah. Written by a 7-year-old. That's what I'm looking. Basically an illustrator.
Yeah.
For webcomic.
Yeah.
Oh.
I will throw onto the heap that I really love the movie Secondhand Lions. I think it's a little surfacey and stuff, but it's such a great.
Which one's that? Does that have Vin Caviezel in it? Which one's that one?
It's got Duvall.
It's like a football. Is that a football
No,
movie?
It's about these two old guys. They're brothers, and they live out in this cabin.
I don't think I've seen that.
Really? It's written by the same guy that wrote Iron Giant. Same writer.
What?
Yeah, and there are these two old crotchety old guys, and what's his face? The kid who's in Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Osmond. Yeah. He gets his mom, who's like really just neglecting him. She says she has to work and go to school, but really she's just kind of going off and partying. She is trying to offload him. So she dumps him with these relatives that she hardly knows who they are. They don't want anything to do with him. And they just sit on the porch with their guns and shoot at salesmen who like try to come sell them stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just these like really roughneck, like they live in this trashed house, and but it's about him.
So they're set aside, and they're going to teach him about manhood.
They teach him about manhood, and they kind of go on telling him all these adventures that they'd been on. So they kind of tell these stories of them fighting in these wars, and
I got to see it.
It's great. I mean, the overall message of it
written by the Iron Giant guy. I thought what's his face, the director, wrote Iron Giant.
No, it's a guy named McCandless. He wrote Iron Giant. I think Brad Bird maybe co-wrote Iron Giant or something, or maybe he laid the story out, but this guy wrote the script. Yeah, Secondhand Lions.
All right, I will check it out just on that alone. I'll watch that. Sounds like fun.
Just fun.
Secondhand Lions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they get a lion. They order a lion. Like, how did they? I can't remember the story was with that. They have a lion there that he got like a deal on. So it's like in this box.
He got a lion.
Yeah, like a real lion.
Okay, that sounds good already. Yeah, I have not seen this movie. That's a good find then.
Yeah, I'm surprised you never saw Secondhand Lions. It's a great movie.
I'm surprised I haven't either, given how good it sounds. And Duvall, I've watched. The Apostle, all his work.
Yeah, it's Duvall and. Shoot, I'm blanking out on my names and faces, but
some other grisly, gritty guy. Another great one.
I want to say, I'm looking it up right now because I have to.
I'll tell you the creepiest role by him is in Sling Blade. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yeah, it's Michael Caine. But they both.
Oh, Michael Caine.
But they both play these kind of like gruff. Grumpy old men.
What is Michael Caine doing in that film, though?
He does great.
He's English.
He does great, though, yeah.
Is he doing an American thing?
I can't remember if he does American or not.
English.
But he's not all proper. Dad. He's not all proper.
Hello, little pup. Hey, pull up a chair. There you go. He's Haley Joel Osment.
Like there's a kind of a famous scene from the movie where they're in this diner and these kind of greaser guys or these little punks are in there being jerks, and the two old guys just beat the crap out of him. Getting this big brawl.
Cool. I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that
famous scene. Yeah, and then they all end up becoming friends after they get them. They all ride off in the car together, and they become, because they earn their respect basically.
Yeah. Okay, I got to check that out. I'm in. My other one is Black Stallion. I can watch anytime. Patton, I can watch anytime.
I got to watch Black Stallion. I haven't seen it since I was a little kid.
That's probably my number one all-time movie is Black Stallion. It's a perfect film.
I've always been bored by horses. I don't know why.
Dude, I hate horses. I hate horse movies, but Black Stallion is different. It's a boy and his dog, but the dog is a horse. And Mickey Rooney is amazing in it. I think it's just rock solid. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. I have real respect for that movie. And it's a fairy tale, so you'll love the genre. It's a fairy tale with no magic, but there is at the beginning of it, Hoyt Angston, he has this little horse statue that he won in a gambling thing. And when he bequeaths it to his son, thinking it's worthless because he just won a big poker hand. And he's like, why don't you pick something out? And the boy goes straight to a giant jewel that, is probably worth $100,000. And the dad's going, how about this? And he's kind of giving him this horse almost like, I'll pawn this off on my kid. When really it's going to be it's the fairy tale thing that saves his life. It's really bizarre. It's what the whole movie's about, this little fairy tale that he crafts for the kid, this unrideable horse. And he ends up, it's spooky. And there's this weird Arabian music that comes up when they show this little horse statue. It is spooky and it's really cool. And it's not so heavy handed that they're hitting you over the head with it. And that's, it's the cinematographer's Deschanel. That's Zoe Deschanel's father is the cinematographer on that movie, which really makes the movie too. It's there's footage in that where you just go, I don't know how you do that. Really worth it. I love it. I just keep loving it. I don't know why, but that movie just really, it's Coppola, I think. Or it's a Zoetrope production, but 1980 or 79 or 80, just, I can't believe that movie got made. I think it's perfect. Black Stallion.
I'll throw one last on, and that's Gran Torino, despite a lot of very bad acting.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so good.
No, it's true. It's also another one that writer is the guy that transcends all, too.
Yeah. Well, apparently, that's the cool thing about the story about that movie. It's written by this guy he's a comedy writer and stuff. He'd written some small stuff, but he's mostly, I think he was a truck driver hauling fruit around or something like that, writing it for Clint Eastwood too. He's like, this is a Clint Eastwood movie, and he wrote it on his, he just stop at bars and write, and somehow Clint Eastwood got a hold of it and said, don't change a thing. We're going to film it as the script is. As this guy wrote it.
We're going to shoot this. Yeah, it's a perfect movie.
Another great man movie.
I like it. And yeah, it's true about the terrible acting.
Yeah, because the Hmong people, they have this community, and so a lot of the actors had never acted anything before. And they got this huge role with Clint Eastwood.
The kid, the sister. Yeah. It's basically everyone but Clint Eastwood is a terrible actor in that movie. It's right. The barber is good. Yeah. The bald barber guy is good. But other than that, everyone else in that whole movie is terrible. And it still works because the story's so perfect and Clint Eastwood carries it.
So many great scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Fact. That's a fact. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Doug TeNapel. I have Earthworm Jim up on Kickstarter for just a little while longer if you want in on that first print run. And this is Ethan Nicole, creator of Axe Cop, and now has Ollie Possum. The book is out. Where can they get Ollie Possum?
You can get it on Amazon now. You can also buy it from my store, and you'll get, a signed book plate and all the kind of extra little trinkets if you want the fancy version.
But really, look up Brave Ollie Possum. It's on Amazon or on Ethan's website. But really, look, Amazon, blow out a book. How hard is it, guys? Click it.
Yeah, especially if you have kids. But even if you just like a good kind of fairy tale, I've had plenty of adults who enjoyed it too.
Yeah, everyone likes that book. I haven't heard a single bad review on it. It's reviewed in World Magazine by, the Marvel Lasky rag. Brave Ollie Possum by Cannon Press. Brave Ollie Possum. This has been...
Audio Mullet. I thought you were waiting for me.
Okay, we'll do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. This has been
Audio
Mullet.
Audio Mullet. A mullet of audio smashing you in the face. Audio Mullet. Short in front, long in back. It's a fact. It's the Audio Mullet.
Perfect ending.
Okay. Yeah. Terrible. Terrible. A fruitless end.